and less infectious virus because it'll propagate through the population faster and it'll be more robust when it does that.
But it's not doing that. It's not doing that.
Listen, stop. Just listen, because you don't. I swear to God, you don't know what you're talking about. I swear.
I don't know that it's not killing more people.
Can y'all just mute Grant, please?
I promise you, bro, real rap. I'm being real rap with you right now. I don't care if you were a trillionaire. I guarantee you don't know more about this than me than I do. I guarantee it. You don't know what you're talking about, right? You sound loud and you sound correct because you got that vibe of the market and the sales, and that's cute until we talk about life and death, right? I don't deal in opinions, right? I deal in living and dying. Those are my metrics of success, right? Life and death, not your arbitrary opinion.
Get to the point.
Damn, bro. Wow.
Yo, and I'm about to start kicking your asses off the stage. Shut the fuck up and listen.
The only point I was trying to make was a less deadly, more infectious agent can still kill more people than a more deadly, less infectious agent, as evidenced by Spanish flu. Spanish flu had a kill rate of 3%. How did it kill 500,000 people with such a small kill rate? Reinfection. You get it, you clear it, you get it again, you die. What are we talking about?
That makes sense.
This is rudimentary. This is literally like rudimentary.
Hey, Byron, let me just say something, Byron. I want to jump in. One second. Dr. Copeland has been trying to explain himself, and everybody would jump in, and then he had to start over because he has a point that needs to be made all at once. And then you guys say, get to the fucking point. He's not getting to the point because you guys are fucking interrupting him. He has to start all over to fucking make the point make sense. All right? Stop interrupting people. Everyone's going to get their chance to speak. Let's not do that. And mainly, it's coming from the anti-vax side. If you guys are so secure in how you feel, let the man talk and then disprove it afterwards. Because you got, like Yoshi said, you guys are trying to fight and disprove information that he hasn't even spoken yet.
Jonathan, is it okay if I ask Dr. Copeland just a quick question, please?
Yeah. How quick is it? Who's that speaking?
It's Portia.
Jump in.
Okay. Dr. Copeland, I have a question. Do you think that people should take the vaccine I don't know how to ask this, according to their the temperament of their body? Because for me, I feel like I don't know. I don't know if it could be ignorant. I don't know the medical term, but I feel that for my body, considering that I've been sick and I heal pretty quickly. It's usually when I get sick, it's never really severe. It doesn't require me. I don't have any respiratory issues. Do you think that that's still, I still should get the vaccination, even though I feel that my body would do a pretty good job at healing on its own?
So some people can't get vaccinated, right? And this is why it's so important that before you make any decision like this, you have to talk to your physician or whoever you got, right? Some people cannot get vaccinated. That's fact. Nobody's disputing that. People with autoimmune disease, some people have cancer, they don't chemo. Some people cannot get vaccinated, right? So some people should not be vaccinated. That's nobody's disputing that. The vast majority of the population are candidates for vaccination. But if you go to your doctor, right, and your doctor's like, listen, you got this going on, I'm not going to recommend it. Follow a recommendation of your physician. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If your physician's like, no, that makes sense to me, that's cool.
Dr. Copeland, can I get your position on some data? You said we don't have data. According to the New York Times today.
That's not data. I saw you right there. That's not data. That is a newspaper article. I saw you right there.
According to the New York Times, which is hardly an anti-vax publication, the number of COVID cases globally is up 21%. Yet the death rate globally is down 13%. That would indicate that whatever's causing the rise in COVID is not adding to or contributing to an increase in mortality.
Let me tell you what's wrong with it.
This is as of December 25th, New York Times, article by Mark Tracy.
Let me tell you what's wrong with that. Let me tell you what's wrong with that right now. Is the rate of vaccination globally decreasing or increasing? You've made a parametric argument using two variants, right? and you did not take into account other things.
So let's go to the United States. In the United States...
Wait. The level of vaccination globally is increasing, not decreasing. So if you're going to make an argument about survival rate versus diagnosis of SARS-CoV-2, that has to be taken into account. Now, there are ways to do that. If Brian wants to go and use a linear regression model to look at covariance between the two groups...
What's a linear regression? Can you break that?
Linear regression is a methodology that allows you to measure and look at different covariates. So, for example, if I say there may be a difference between group A and B, but I want to take into account age, sex, height, vaccination status, non-vaccination status, or have they been previously infected. That's how we do that with the linear regression model. You don't do it by going to the New York Times and eyeballing some data and saying, I got the answer. That's not how that works.
So hold on one second. So should we just say that that's all bullshit? Anything that they say is just bullshit, just automatically just write it off, or what's your take on that, Doc?
I think at the best
narrative, then he writes it off.
He asked me a question. So, Byron, to answer your question, I think it's cool to look at newspaper articles, but when I go to a newspaper article, the first thing I do is I go to find a source, right? It's just like when you go to Wikipedia. You want to go to Wikipedia, that's cool, but you go to Wikipedia for the sources. If you want to go to the New York Times and then pull the source and read the paper that they're referencing, that's cool. But would I take anything for or against? Either one. I don't care who your newspaper outlet is.
It's the WHO, Doctor.
Oh, my gosh, man. Oh, my gosh. Byron, like I was saying, man, I'm sorry about that.
No.
The point I was making, Byron, talking to Byron, was that it's cool to look at the newspaper, but you got to go to the source. That's a simple answer.
Okay.
And if the source is the WHO, wouldn't you consider that a viable source?
I don't believe anything the news is telling us right now, because there's a lot of stuff that's being taken down. A lot of deaths are being taken away immediately.
Go ahead, Doctor, because I got something to say after you.
Sure. The problem with Brian's oversimplified analysis, and I use that term loosely, right, is that you have not taken into account anything else. You have put the blinders on and said, aha, we have a new variant, and at this snapshot in time, this is happening. That's not how it works.
Okay, hey, Doc, I'm just trying to share some good news instead of less people are dying. Doctor, you're in the business of saving lives. You should applaud.
Yeah.
I am not. You're making a critical error. You're making a critical error right now.
What's the critical error? Can we let's break that down so we can all understand in simple man terms. What's the
Byron's so funny.
No, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand for real.
I'm being definitely serious right now.
Okay, let's.
You are thinking, Brian, with your emotions. It's not about good news and bad news. It's not about how you feel.
It's a fact.
Throw all that away.
It's emotional.
Bro. It is emotional.
Death rate sounds 13% deal.
I don't care. You literally just said.
Emotional.
Hold on. He literally just said, let's spread some good news.
It's a fact.
What you're doing is,
it's a fact. The death rate's down 13%.
So let's build.
The death rate was up 13%. You'd be losing
I'm
your
really
shit.
confused. Wait, Dr. Copeland, I'm a little confused. You're saying, well, you have to know the source. You have to check the source. So the WHO, you'd consider not a source worth taking their information? Because it sounds like you're saying Brian's just wants to support his narrative, but it kind of sounds like you're doing the exact same thing.
He provides information, and you guys are ganging up on him because you guys don't like that possibly someone can get some useful information out of it.
And what he's saying is very rational. If you just look at raw numbers, who keeps muting me?
I have no fucking clue.
Okay, if you're not Nelson.
No, Nelson's not doing that.
Hey, stop muting me.
I'm going to take down 5 mods, man, because at this point in time, if you guys are going to start playing games, we got kids here.
Because someone keeps muting me.
Yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
If you're not Nelson, Brian, Jonathan, or Jerry, don't mute me.
We ain't muting you.
All
right?
Please.
Because if you think that Witchacom has a sniper rifle, I got a Gatling gun. All right, so stop muting me. Stop being disrespectful. I know it hurts to hear things that doesn't agree with your narrative, but how are you going to disagree if you don't even hear the person out that you disagree with so you can know what points to disagree on? He's making a very valid point.
Jump in, Yoshi, jump in.
Whether you agree with it or not. What he's saying is if you're just going to look at raw data or raw percentages and say, okay, cases is up 20%, deaths are down 13%, and you say, oh, well, you have to take in consideration other variables and factors. And that is that vaccinations are also going up. So it may be that deaths are down because the number of people who are catching this new variant are vaccinated, so they have a measure of protection versus when Delta first came out when they had little or no protection. It's very simple. It's very simple. So, and then another thing, he just told you that with the Spanish flu, people caught it and they recontracted it, and that's when they died, even though it had a death rate of 3%. So we can't say automatically, even though it may appear that Omicron is less mild, less deadly, but we don't know what happens if you get reinfected with it.
But here's the deal, though.
It's just certain things we don't know. Okay, certain things we don't know.
Just a quick question. Hold on, quick question.
Less deadly.
Quick question. Go ahead, Grant. Go ahead and jump in. Because I'm really trying to build on this. I'm trying to collect data right now. Go ahead, Grant.
A 3% kill rate compared to what COVID is doing is almost 3x.
This is Shalon.
Why even make that comparison? And by the way, Yoshi, you got simple too. That's what Brian Benstock was doing, getting simple. And that's what he was accused of doing, was making it simple. But the facts are simple. They shouldn't be complicated. Complicated is a way to confuse people.
No, complicated is not the way to confuse people. Sometimes things are not just simple. What I said is I made a comparison.
Less people are dying. Yoshi.
Okay, yes, but you have to take other things into consideration.
Okay, so let's talk, Yoshi. Let's talk U.S. data. Let's talk U.S. data.
Okay, how many are fully vaccinated in the U.S.?
Wait.
How many are fully vaccinated?
Let me give you the number, then you can fill in the blanks. Okay. In the United States of America, the COVID rate has increased by 69%, and the death rate has increased by 4%. Okay, 69% increase is 69%, and we know that we hear that the largest portion of the increase is Omicron. They're saying that it accounts for 80% of all new cases. This is the data. And so we have a 69% increase in COVID, but only a 4% increase in the death rate. I think that's good news.
Yeah, it is good. Look, I'm going to give it to you so we don't have to repeat this again. That's excellent news. It's not good news, but you still must take other factors into consideration. We have a population that is 61% fully vaccinated.
But none of that works against Omicron. It still
offers a measure of protection. So even if immunity is diminishing against COVID in general, it still offers a level of protection that wasn't there when we were initially dealing with Delta. So therefore,
Yoshi, how do you know that?
Because when Delta first hit the U.S., we didn't have a vaccine.
Correct.
That's why.
We still don't.
So therefore, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's probably going at the bottom.
The vaccine that we have, we know that immunity wanes. Yes. We know that it's not bulletproof. Yes. We know that Omicron can evade that vaccination and cause not only infection but symptoms. Yes. We know that the fully vaccinated can spread it. Yes. We know all of that. So, but what we also know is this. We also know that this vaccine, although it's not designed and specific to neither Delta or Omicron, the data has shown that it offers a measure of protection, and that protection is increased when you get a booster. So when you're looking at rising cases of a variant that can evade immunity, okay, but you're not seeing a corresponding death rate, you have to take in consideration that you have a population that is 61% fully vaccinated and 73% with one shot, and those shots, whether it's fully or half or partial, offers a measure of protection. And if you take into consideration that this variant appears to be milder, you have to take all of these factors into consideration, not just looking at the numbers and saying, oh, this and that.
But here's the deal, though. How many people were vaccinated in South Africa?